All right, I can already see some questions coming in, so that's good. I'm going to take about 5 minutes or so just to kind of give 5-10 minutes just to give the new users a little overview of what to do first in the software before we get started. So this might prompt some questions for you guys. We'll open it up for questions. I already see some questions coming through, so that's good. If you have questions while we go through this, go ahead and start typing them into the chat box here. And we'll try to make this call a half hour, maybe a little bit more if we get a lot of questions. We will have the same call next week. So if you don't get your questions answered on this one, you can either, we'll answer it afterwards, send you an email about it, or we will just, you can catch us on the next call. Before we get started though, I want to show you how to get to the user guide, because we actually we do these live trainings every so often, and we do record them and put them on the user guide. So if you're logged into the Investment Dominator, you can see here I'm logged into my demo account for this call. And you log in, you get a little overview of your entire admin console is what we call this thing. This is where you manage all your deals on the back end. And to get to the user guide, you want to click on the Help tab. It's always going to be on the top right corner. Now, if you're viewing this site from a mobile phone or a tablet, you might not see the words Help. You might just see the icon of the little chat box here. But it is the second item from the left corner, or sorry, from the right corner, always. So you want to click on Help. And when you click on this, we have some options to get a hold of us. So the first option right here is if you're stuck on something, if you have a quick question, you want us to point you in the right direction, send you a help article or something like that. Click on this. It's designed just for quick questions, not anything too technical here. This goes to our general support. And if you have something technical, or you want us to take a look at your list, or you have some kind of error that's showing up in the application, you want us to check that out, or if you want us to actually take a look at one of the records in your system, use the middle option for that. This is going to go to the tech support team. It's a little bit larger form, but it also allows you to upload screenshots which are very helpful. Also attachments. So for example, if you have any questions on your lists or anything like that, go ahead and attach the actual file that you have questions on, and we can take a look at that. So if you have a little bit more technical, detailed question, you always use the middle option. If you just forgot where to find something, or need an article or something like that, you can go ahead and ask a quick question on the left-hand side here. And on the right-hand side is if you have any suggestions when you go through the application, you're using it. We do suggest that you kind of use it the way that it was designed. But having said that, once you start doing deals and you find that a need for a feature, go ahead and send us a feature suggestion, because we do keep track of this stuff. And you want it, and we do keep track of it in a separate place. So you don't want to attach it to any of your help tickets or anything like that. Actually, go over here and click on Have a Suggestion. Fill out the form here. We keep track of it. We prioritize things, and as we further develop the software, we incorporate those suggestions into the new releases. Just to kind of overview on how the system works, when we push out an update, it goes to everyone, and it's something that doesn't require you to download anything or anything like that. It just gets automatically pushed out to everyone, and therefore there's a lot of testing involved before we do something like that. But if you have a suggestion, we're always looking to improve the software, to make it more usable, and at the end of the day, it's just designed to make your life as a land investor easier. I mean, that's why it was developed in the first place. Back in the day, we didn't have a software like this, and all the students were really using Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel to do all these deals, and there's a lot of complications. There's a lot of things that take up time when you're doing a process like that. So this having the CRM in place really speeds up the entire process. All right, lastly, I know I kind of led with this, but when you want to get to our user guide, it's under the same help section. So again, you're going to be under help, and then right here there's a link that says user guide, And when you click on that, it actually opens in a new tab here because it's a separate searchable site. So this is a site here. Now, if you scroll down, there's a bunch of articles. They're not in any particular order. They're actually, I think, like the latest one is posted on top. But we do, everything is searchable. So for example, if you have a question on importing, you just type in import, and you can see all the articles that we have about importing. So for example, how to import your land list is here. We always put the videos, if we do have a video, on the right-hand side. And you just click on it, and it loads in a little window there. We typically have screenshots and things like that in our user guide articles. You can look at other ones at the bottom here. But everything is kind of designed around the search bar of this site. So just type in some keywords, and you can pull up the articles. If you just want to search by category, we do have like a general category, houses, because the Investment Dominator also does houses, land related stuff, and then selling, both land and houses. It's split up there. Now, the other thing is these live calls, these live training calls are also posted, and it can be accessed on the site. You can see here we did some live calls back a few weeks ago. The equivalent of this call was done on last on 4/10. So you can go back and watch that one. This call today is going to be recorded and posted. Typically, it's going to take about a day or so before we post these up on the site, and it'll be posted, with the date like this live training call. So you can go back and take a look at it. All right. Having said that, let's go ahead and start out with. Let's go ahead and start out with, if you are a brand new user, what are the steps that you need to do first? Now, when you got your welcome email, we sent you your login, or your login URL, and then your username and password. When you log in, you're going to see a page like this. Obviously, there's not going to be, everything's going to be zeroed out. You don't have any data in it. So you're going to log in. Now, the first thing you want to do is customize your application. And there's not a whole lot of things you need to do, but there are some things that you need to enter in because obviously it's we provide a lot of built-in content, but we're also feeding that content with your information about your company and about yourself. So what you want to do is, the very first thing you want to do is come over to where it says Customize Site, and there's a bunch of little expandable sections in here. And the first one is company information. You want to take the time to put in your company phone number. Now, this is the phone number that you want people to call when they're interested in selling property to you, okay? So this is, you definitely need this right off the bat because we're going to generate some letters for your mailing, and on those letters is going to be this phone number. It's also going to be used on your website and things like that. So put in your company phone number. Typically we say, don't use your cell phone number. I mean, these letters are going out and can sit around somebody's house for a while, and then they can call you at midnight. So we always suggest that you use a company like Ring Central or Google Voice or something like that that actually hides your personal phone number, but allows people to call you, and then you can pick it up on your regular cell phone. So do some research on companies like Vumber.com, ringcentral.com, grasshopper.com, and even Google Voice. Some of the students are using Google Voice. But once you get that settled, you want to come in here and put in the phone number that they should call. The company email address. Now, this is the email address that's going to be, you're going to be notified when somebody sends you a message through your Contact Us page. It's going to be used a lot in your notifications from the system itself, like when somebody creates an offer request, things like that. And it's not necessarily given out to anybody on the front end. So it can, it doesn't need to be like an email address that looks good, right? Because it's never going to be shown to your end client. It's always hidden in the system, yet it is used quite a bit. So you want to use an email address that you check regularly and enter it in that way. Like I said, the Contact Us page on your website connects to it, but it's not shown. So when somebody sends a message, they don't ever see this email, but the message that they send is forwarded onto this email. Your company name. Now this one I get questions on quite a bit. People ask, okay, well, if I don't have a company right now, I don't have an LLC, what do I put there? So we tell people put a DBA that you're planning to use, or the domain that you're using for your buying site. So, like for example, if you have the domain, sellyourland.com, you might put in sellyourland in there. And that could be your company name to begin with. Now, later on, when you have an LLC and things like that, you can always come back here and change this stuff, and it will update everything. So don't worry about starting with something and then changing it later. That's the beauty of this system also, is you can come back and just edit just particular fields, come back and change it at any time. Same thing with a phone number. If you do change it, come back in here and change it, and it updates everything. Your company address, again, we don't recommend ever that you use your home address for stuff like this. This is going to be used on your mailings. Some kind of like a suite box, something that forwards an earthclassmail.com box, something like that, that scans your mail and sends it to you. That is the preferred way to do it. Or if you have an actual physical office, obviously you can put that in there. But if you don't, if a lot of people just do this from home, we definitely at the very least recommend that you set up some kind of a suite box, not necessarily a PO box, although I do know that some of the I guess the post office now allows you to create a suite box address if you fill out some form with them. So go ahead and put in your address. Again, if you change the address later on, then you can always come back here and update it. Now, the realtor phone and first name, this is actually only if you decide that you want to use a realtor for your buying side of the business. Most students don't do that, and we certainly don't do that either. But if you were using a realtor to help you acquire properties, then you could put that information in there. The other thing is, if you yourself are a broker or an agent, a lot of states require that you disclose that you are an agent. And so if you click yes here, then it's going to put a little disclosure on your website and on your letters that says, hey, you're an agent, you're a broker, and you're buying on your own behalf, something like that. And most states require that if you are a real estate agent yourself. If you're not, then don't even worry about that. Just keep it, check to no. All right, so it's pretty simple, straightforward. Company information is a section. I got here by going to customize site, then clicking on this little toggled section, company information. Okay, the second thing is on your letter, there is a PS line. Now, take a look at your letter, and we'll take a look at it in a little bit, but the PS line says something like, we're open, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 or something like that. If you want to change that at all, this is where to change it. And it's blank right now because I'm going to explain to you one of the things about our system here is that if a field is blank, then usually that means that we're going to be printing out default content, right? The content that we already predefined for you, so at the very least, if you leave it blank, then there's something being printed on there. So if you enter in some information, then you're actually overwriting the default content. And that's how a lot of the fields in this customized site area work, is if it's empty, then, and I'll just give you another more visual example. If I go to the buying site here, you can see that the buying site homepage text is empty. And yet, when I go to my buying site, I see that there is actually content here, okay? But again, if I put custom content in there, then whatever I put in here is going to overwrite the built-in, the default content. So when I save that and I come back over here, you can see it overwrote the custom content or the default content with the custom content. And if I ever want to get it back, the other reason why we do this is if you ever make a mistake and you want it back, all you really need to do is come back over here and delete what you did and just make it empty again, save that, and then magically your built-in content comes back, okay? Because the system is very much designed around what we do ourselves. So we actually use this content ourselves, but then we allow you to customize it later on. In the beginning, when you haven't yet done a deal, and depending on your experience level, we say stick to the default content in the beginning, because we know that works, it's been tested and things like that. And then later on, you can customize it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at these questions coming in just to make sure. Okay, some people are saying everything is all good here, and some people are saying that we cannot see your screen. Can we just do another quick survey here and let me know how many people can see my screen and see what I'm doing here, and how many people cannot? If you can just type in that chat box. Okay, so we get a bunch of yeses in here. Okay, so yep, everybody here I can see. Okay, all right, great. I just wanted to make sure, because there is a few people saying that they can't see my screen. So for the people that can't see my screen, I'm not really sure why. You might want to drop off the call and go back on, and then you can see it. Otherwise, like I said, this is being recorded, and we will upload this later. You can watch this later. But everybody that has just chatted in here says they can see my screen. So, all right, I just wanted to make sure. Moving on here, the second thing that you want to do as a new student is you want to go over here to your profile where it says My Profile, and you want to obviously make sure your first and last name is correct. That should already be loaded. You want to update your time zone and add your phone number. This phone number is actually not being used like on your letters or anything. Like I said before, the phone number that we use in your letters is your company phone number, so this can be different than your company phone number. The time zone is being used in the system, so you want to set your own time zone. And the more important thing before you generate your letters is you need to set your signature file. And if I go over here to the user guide, and you just type in signature, there is a tutorial on how to create and upload a signature file, because for example, a lot of people don't know how to create a digital signature file, like this is done on the computer, for example. And there's an easy way, and it's in this tutorial here. I'll just kind of give you an overview. We use this free software web editor called sketch.io. There's a link to it in that description, and the video is on here on the right hand side. But basically, you take this, there's a pen tool, and with the pen tool you can click and drag and draw signatures. Now, one thing I will say about this is don't worry that it's not your real signature, because this particular signature is not used on your offers or anything official. It's used in your marketing pieces, okay? So a lot of times on our marketing pieces, the signatures are not even like our correct signatures. They're a version of them. But when we get to the offer stage where we're actually making a legal binding contract, we are actually reviewing that after we print it out. We're signing it with a real pen, and that will be our real signature, okay? So don't get caught up in trying to get this signature to be exactly like your own signature. Instead, it's more of a marketing thing, so it just needs to look like a cool signature, really. And you can use like instead of a black one, you could use like a blue pen here, so it even looks cooler. But anyways, you want to go through this video. It covers it in more detail. Once you create that file, it's pretty simple to basically choose the file that you created, and it'll look something like this, let's say, and then you can just go ahead and drag and crop around your signature, so you don't even need to have it the right size. When you create it, you can just drag and crop around it, hit confirm, and you can see here I'm replacing this signature with this one right now. I'm just going to go ahead and update it. Now this is going to be used, like I said, on our marketing letters. And it doesn't need to be a real signature, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so with those two things, with setting your company information and setting your profile and your signature line, the last step that you need to do is upload a list. Because right now, I'm in my demo app here. I'm just going to go ahead and delete all these records here. So wait, We can pretend that I don't have anything in here. So when you log in, it's going to look like something like this. It's just blank, right? You go under, land deals, and nothing is there. One thing I do want to point out that I didn't mention is if you haven't noticed, there is a land section called land deals, a house section called house deals, and a buyer's list section. It's orange. Now the orange sections are your marketing when you go and sell the property, okay? The green section is always going to be land related stuff, and the blue one is always going to be house related stuff. So if you're on any page, really, like even if we go over here to reports, you can see that, well, there's no data in there right now, but if I go over here to house deals, you can see the bar is blue. If I go over here to the the buyer's list, there's orange colors here. If I go to the reports, we're using orange here. So you can kind of tell where you're at in the software just based on the colors, okay? Now, I assume that most of these, you guys are doing land deals because that's what we, I think I took a look at who are the new users. Everybody, I think, is using this for land. So here's the number one thing to write down about uploading your list. Well, there's actually a couple key things, but you'll want to write these down because I get these questions all the time. Number one is the first thing that you want to do is make sure you're in the right section before you upload your list, okay? If you upload a land list to the house deal section, it's a different process altogether. There's different statuses, there's different paperwork we use, there's a different process that we go about when we buy houses, okay? And the system, the only way the system knows that it's supposed to be in that section is by you telling it by importing it into the correct section in the first place. Okay, so if you have a land list, you want to click on land deals first, then you want to click on import. Okay, even though they are similar, like if I go to house deals and I click on import, it looks similar other than the colors. There is something very different happening in the background. Okay, so make sure number one note to write down is go to the land section if you have a land list, then hit import because you want to be in the right section to upload your list. Now the second important thing is actually covered here in step one of this process. This is actually not a to-do step, but more of as a informational step here is just like most softwares out there, if you're importing data into a software, you have to have it in a particular format, okay? And our particular format is it's got to be a .csv file. That's the file that the Investment Dominator is looking for. So that means like if you have an Excel file, like a XLXS file, and you try to upload that, it's going to give you an error like unknown format. It has to be a .csv file. Also, that's not the only thing. It has to have a certain amount of required headers. What that means is I'm going to go over here where it says view the user guide article to prepare your import list, just to kind of explain this better visually. If I scroll down on this article, you can see here that some of these required fields are marked in red, right? So we've got type, and then we've got 3 fields that are marked in orange. I'll explain that in a second. But type, address, city, state, zip, APN, property, county, and state. There's 11 total fields that are required, meaning if you don't have these 11 fields in your import file, then the software is going to tell you that it's missing it or it can't read the file or something like that. Okay? So the number one thing is to, before you import your file, check if it's a .csv file, then check to make sure you've got all these required fields. Now let me explain these orange fields here. The reason they're marked with orange is because they're only required depending on what you have set here under the type field. So in your list, you've got a type field, and let me try to pull up a sample list here so you can see here what I'm talking about. So here's a CSV file, and you can see here I have a type field, okay? Now in this type field, I've either got it set to individual or company, okay? And that's what is explained right here. the value of this must be set to either individual or company, meaning it can't be, you can't put in here trust, right? If you do this, that record is not going to be read. It either has to be individual or company. Now, based on that, these fields are basically required. So if it is an individual, if it's set to individual, then the first name and last name are required. And you can see that in my sample list here. It's set to these are all individuals, and therefore I have a first name and last name field value in there. But column D is my company column. You can see there at the top, and you can see in the cases that it's an individual, there's no company, right? It's missing, because then it becomes optional if it's set to individual. Now, vice versa, if it's set to company, then your first name, last name fields can be blank, but therefore your company field has to be filled in. Okay, you have to have a value under there. That's why these are orange, because they depend upon what you have put under the type field. And then these ones, address, city, state, zip. Again, these are the owner's address, the owner's city, state, and then obviously the property APN, the property county, the property state. Also, notice that my fields at the very top exactly match what is required. So, for example, I know a lot of students are using list brokers like Agent Pro 247, let's say, or Revo Gateway, or even, for that matter, going to the county itself and getting a list. The county, Agent Pro, and all these other companies are not necessarily going to give you a list that has a type field, first name, last name field. They might have the values in there, right? They might have the owner's address, but it might be called something different. It might be called mailing address 1, owner's address, assessed owners. You know, it might be called all different kinds of field names. All you have to do is make sure that up at the top that your header, your row number 1, has the exact required fields in there. So in this case, let's say that you know, you got a list from, I think Agent Pro does owner address or something like that. If it comes to you as owner address, all you have to do is make sure you take that out and just say address, because then the system can read it. It's not looking for owner's address. Okay, so I wanted to make that clear. Hopefully, if you have any further questions on that, let me know. Otherwise, watch the video as well, and take a look at the sample list. We do provide a sample list as well there, so you can take a look at it and see what is required. Now, one last thing on this is you'll notice there's these fields that are not required. So here's the required row, or sorry, column. You can see they're not required. But these are optional. So if you have this information, you can definitely import it into the Investment Dominator as long as you're using the correct headers. But it's definitely not required. Therefore, you could just delete it from your list if or you could have it missing from your list if you don't have that information. The only one that's kind of I recommend that you import if you have it is the property zip code and size in acres. If that's something that your list has on it already, I would just go ahead and import that. It makes your life easier when you go and comp out properties, things like that. But you definitely want these 11 required fields, otherwise your list will not import. If you do have problems importing your list and you think you followed all of those requirements, then and you're still getting some kind of an error when you upload your list, then go under the help section, click on the middle option like I was saying before, this need to report an issue, because this will give you this form right here where you can actually attach your actual list that you're trying to upload, and then we'll take a look at it and let you know what's going wrong with it. Having said that, let me show you how to import a list. All I do is I click on this and I choose where my list is located, and I'm going to upload the list by selecting it, click open. You can see that it preview loads right here, and then I'm going to click upload list. Once I do that, it's going to give you a summary of what happened. You want to pay attention to this because you can notice in here it says 2 rows have not imported. and it actually tells you why they didn't import. It says there's an empty last name on row 39 and 46. So if I take a look at this list right here, 49, 46, you can see 39, 46, we're missing a last name. So it is telling me exactly where this list went wrong. It created the records for everything else, but those two it did not create. So you want to pay attention to the summary because if you get a lot of stuff missing, then you know what to go back in there and fix. You can just go back here, figure out what the last name is, or just mark it as a company and put the first name, let's say in that case, under the company field. You could do that as well. And then you can re-import that list. The other thing is it's not going to create a duplicate. So you can see here that there was already existing property records in here, or sorry, owner records in there. And so it did not create the duplicates for that. So you don't have to worry if you go back and fix this row 39, row 46, and then re-import it, because it's just going to update those two records that didn't get created. All right. Once you've got so just kind of a quick summary again. You as a new user, you came in here, you added you updated your company information under customized site. You updated your profile information and uploaded your signature file. Didn't have to be your own signature. It could be just a cool looking signature. Then you came over here to the land deals section, made sure you're in the right section, clicked on import, then imported your list and made sure that you had the required fields of information. Took a look at that summary after you imported the list to make sure that if there wasn't any records imported, you know the reason why. And then now you are actually good to go, because if you do those things that we just talked about, you can actually send out your first mailing, because you'll notice that I imported these records. I think there was 177 records in here, and they're all under the prospect status, right? So right away, it puts it into the right status, and the system is status-based. So the first thing that you can do is come over here to the top here where it says Generate Documents. Click on Generate Documents, and it says you have options right here to generate your letters, okay? Because this is all status-based. You'll notice that down here I don't have any options yet, because I don't have any properties yet in the right statuses to make offers and things like that. But I do have a bunch of records under the prospect letter, which is the first letter that you're going to be mailing out. And you have two options. You can download this as a Word document or a PDF. I'm just going to use a PDF option. And you can see here that when you open this up, it generates 177 letters already, each one with a different name and my signature file. Everything should be good to go, okay? So, and then the same thing for your envelopes here. Just download the envelopes. You can print this on a home printer. Make sure you're in envelope mode before you do this, and then you can hit print. All right, if you're using a mailing house, there is an option to export the data, and in the user guide, the mailing house that we recommend that we use ourselves is letterprinting.net. So if you type in letterprinting.net into the user guide, you can click on this how to set up a direct mail campaign with a printing service article, and it actually walks you through the steps that you're going to need to do in order to print these documents on letterprinting.net, which is a third-party company, but we use them all the time, and we have used them for a while. All right, so with that, I think that gives you a quick overview of everything. Hopefully at this point, the people that are new to the software can at least get their mailings out, which is the very first step in this whole thing, because without getting your mailings out, you're not going to get the phones ringing, you're not going to be able to make offers, and it's really the number one thing you got to get going out on to really get this process in motion to get deals. All right, with that, let's go to the questions and see what we got here. So we got a question about the API. Okay, this one's going to be a little bit, the answer to this is going to be a little bit maybe over the heads of most of the people on the call here. So the question is, Deb wants to basically insert leads into her buyers list using the API. Okay. Now to explain this, I do want to back up a little bit because I know we have like a lot of new users on the call. So let me explain what the API does. All right. So when you have this, with this program, it comes with 3 websites. You've got the buying site, which is basically you buying property, right? People are going to go to this site. They're going to say, okay, I'm interested in selling my property. I'm going to fill out this form and request an offer. That's considered your buying site. That's already built in. And when somebody fills out this form, they go straight under your land deals under the offer request tab. Okay. Now the other site is your opt-in page site, right? So now when somebody, this is when you actually have a property to sell, right? This is on your selling side of your business. You are going to be promoting what we call an opt-in page. And what this is basically you're trying to collect people's names and email addresses in your buyers list, because what we know about land is it's not an impulse buy, right? It's about the cost of a car in most cases, and so somebody's not going to just come, waltzing off the internet and hand you 15 grand without knowing a little bit more about your company. So in order to get somebody that is just a prospect, just somebody that's interested in owning land, to come, to get to the point where they trust you enough to hand you $15,000 over the internet, there is a process involved, and it usually takes a little bit of time, about 30 to 60 days, to foster a prospect. This is not like, I'm not saying that you can't sell something right off of Craigslist. I'm talking about if you were to market with a banner ad or something like that, or on LandWatch. In a traditional marketing campaign, it's typically going to take the average person a little bit of time to warm up to you. And so to do that, you want to get them on this buyers list, which is just a bunch of people that are interested in your properties or property in general. And then at that point, it is also a process of converting them from just somebody that's interested to somebody that's a buyer, and then hopefully a repeat buyer, and so on. But you want to keep track of them in the meantime, as well as where they came from. Okay, so just to kind of explain to you the built-in stuff first, it comes built in with an opt-in page, because this is a good part of our marketing strategy when it comes to selling. And somebody would come here, they would type in, Joe at joe.com, and they would opt in, and then they would be directed to what we call your selling site. Now on the selling site, it looks pretty blank, but that is because this selling site shows this shows your deals, right? Let me give you an example of one of the students this is one of the students' selling site, for example. You can see it has listings. When properties are sold, you can mark them sold in the system and all that kind of stuff. So this is what it looks like when you actually have properties to sell. And then if you click on the deals, you can go over to the long listings with all the pictures and all that good stuff, and all the maps, things like that. And that's all built into the system. Okay, so that's the main process when you're going to market. It's basically you send somebody to a opt-in page, they opt in, they get to see your properties, and then over time, the people that don't buy right away, which is a good chunk of the majority of the people, right? They're not going to just hand you money. You're going to use this list to follow up with, call them, talk to them, ask them what they're interested in, create notes about the person and what they're interested in, things like that. Now, the question about the API has to do with, okay, what if I don't want to use the built-in site right here? And I want to build something custom. Maybe I have my own website already that's doing quite well SEO. It has a good SEO rank, and I want to transfer information from that site into the Investment Dominator through what's called an API. And the API is just quite simply a way for you to create a script that's going to automatically transfer data into the Investment Dominator or out of the Investment Dominator. It actually goes both ways. Okay, and it is quite technical. So if you don't know anything about creating scripts, then what I would do is I would actually go to the user guide here, and I have I think it's like a 30-40 minute tutorial on, if you type in API, how to set up an API with the Investment Dominator. Probably should reword that a little bit, but anyways, this video right here is like a half hour or so where I walk you through an example, a real-world example of how to integrate, send information from the Investment Dominator to, for example, an emailing software like GetResponse. This is a common, popular emailing software. You can create email campaigns and all that good stuff, and you can automatically send people over to that. Now, in Deb's question, I think she wants to actually send information from another site into the Investment Dominator. That also can be done. Now, everything regarding the API, because it's a form of customizing something, is going to be under this helps section. And when you click on the help, you want to click on API documentation. We actually have quite a bit of documentation on this, everything from how to generate a key, right? This is going to secure the connection because you're coming from a third-party application and sending data into the Investment Dominator. So you need a secret key for that. There's instructions on how to generate that and how to make it secure if it was ever compromised. How to make a sample request. Again, you can see it's quite technical, so if you don't know anything about coding, then you're going to either have to hire a programmer to do this, or yeah, pretty much you're going to have to hire a programmer to take a look at this. Having said that, a programmer could do this quite quickly because we have sample scripts in here. We have all the data types that you need to set in your requests. Like I said, you can do get post, you can do you can get data, you can post data. And the information is under here. There is also what we call, well, there's a sample script right here. You can actually just copy and paste this over to your developer, and they just change 1 or 2 lines, and this will allow you to send information into the Investment Dominator. There's also a preview script. So for example, and it's going to be different for yours, like this is my URL, this is my secret key here. Obviously I'm going to change it after this call, but you can play around with this. For example, if you want to insert or pull information from the property table, you can pull land data by doing type =1, and you can submit that, and it will give you a preview of the data that's going to be outputted when you make this request call. So we do make it quite easy, but you do need a little bit of technical knowledge in order to pull off a script. Now, the reason I pointed you over to this user guide article here that's 30 minutes is because this tutorial does not talk about coding anything. It talks about using a third-party go-between software called Zapier.com. And I don't know, a lot of people are familiar with this, some people are not, but basically Zapier.com is a third-party company that basically connects 2 programs together without any technical skills. Okay, so if you don't have a programmer that you can hire, or you're not very technical savvy yourself, then come over here to Zapier.com, because if you look at their app directory, they have, I think, 750 plus apps, including Gmail, Google Calendar. I mean, these are all popular, Facebook, Google Docs, and you can connect the Investment Dominator to these applications. So without having any programming skills or anything like that. It's a matter of drag and drop and click a few buttons, and then you have this automatic integration. So for example, if you have already a WordPress site that's ranked very well and you want to use that, but when somebody basically opts in, you want to send that information to your buyers list, you can use a Zapier Zap for that without having to code a form. Same thing with an Infusionsoft. This is a popular marketing software. GetResponse, like that's in the example. There is Constant Contact. A lot of people use that for email marketing, things like that. So bottom line, to kind of summarize this question, is we've already got built-in sites for you um, that you can use without having to mess with the API or anything like that. If you want to go a step further, like I said, and you want to customize a bunch of things, then find it under API documentation. You will have to have a programmer, or you can use this third-party company called Zapier.com, which makes everything way super simple. Now, the third thing I forgot to mention is you can also create custom pages. So this is a little bit more advanced for the new users out there. Don't even worry about this for the time being. You want to get your letters out. You want to get some deals under contract, and then you want to market it even with the default stuff that we have. But as you move forward and build this business, you're going to find that you want to test different campaigns, create your own landing pages, including your own opt-in form. So instead of always using the built-in opt-in page, which is this one, you can actually create your own page. So let's just go through a quick example of that. It's not going to be a super awesome one, but you can basically come over here to customize site, and then you're going to go to custom pages and posts. And then what you're going to want to do is, in this case, I'm going to create a custom page, and it's going to be a single page, meaning it's just one page, and I'm going to make it public so people can view it on the internet. Then I'm going to call this one landing page. Now, the page URL is actually going to be what, off of your site, basically. So you can say something like deals. Deals would be your page URL if you want. And then you can choose the menu that you want. So we have a buying site built in, a selling site menu built in, so you can go selling site menu. And then here's where you want to create your page. So you can say here, for awesome land deals, opt in here. Obviously, you don't want to say that, but you want something cool with probably a video in most cases. But you can type something in here. You can make it look bigger. You can using all these built-in basically options, center it, change the color of this, right? So you can start building a page, a custom page. Now here below that, I want to put in my opt-in form. So what I can do is under where it says insert merge field, I can insert one called opt-in form, and that puts this this opt-in form tag in here. It's basically a merge form tag, and basically it's going to display my opt-in page. Okay, and I'll show you that site or opt-in form. I'll show you that in a second. So you can add some tracking code if you want. You can show your logo, selling site logo in this case I want to show, and then you can choose your banner. You can show the banner or not. This is the banner right here. So I can take that off if I want by saying no, and then I don't have a banner. Then I'm going to click add to create the page, and now I have one custom page right here. It's called deals. When I click on it, you can see it's not a great page, but what it does have is my headline. It has this opt-in box in here, again, where we're collecting, Jim at jim.com, and when I opt in, I automatically go to the selling site again. Just exactly how the built-in site works. We created our own custom form for that. All right, and you can add this to your menu and all kinds of good stuff. We'll talk about that later because it is a little bit more advanced. But that's how you can create custom landing pages without, again, using the API, which is a more advanced concept. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the questions and see if we got any more coming in here. All right, so somebody, Ivan's saying Sketch.io doesn't like Microsoft Edge. Best to use other browsers. Yes, kind of more of a comment there. I find that most the internet does not like Microsoft Edge in general. So, sorry, Microsoft, but they haven't yet worked out a lot of their bugs on that. So a lot of sites, by the way, even county sites, because a lot of you guys are going to be doing research on the county websites, a lot of them don't like Microsoft Edge as well. So if a county website is not working, then try switching your browser to like Chrome or something like that, because it quite possibly is the browser itself that's having issues. And then the sketch.io, which is the one that we talked about, third-party company that allows you to create your signature files. Apparently they have issues with Microsoft Edge as well. So if you can't draw your signature with that, switch your browser to Chrome. I use that all the time, so I know that works, and you should have no problems. Also, Ivan, along that point, you don't need to use sketch.io. I just use that as an example. You can just use Microsoft Paint for that matter and create yourself a signature. I just find that sketch.io is a nice free software on the internet that everybody can find, whether you have a Mac or a PC or anything like that, or a cell phone for that matter. And you can just go to that site and create your signature quite quickly. So that's why I mention it. But you can create it in like I said, Paint or whatever Mac uses for that similar software in Mac. I'm not a Mac user, but you can use that as long as the background of the page is white. Okay, because your paper is going to be white. The template is white paper, so you want to have the background of your image to be white, and then your signature line can be either black or blue is what we recommend. All right, moving on here, we got a question. Let's see here. On the main page, the write-up is complete. Is there a way to keep the main page and add to it? For example, if you want to emphasize something like specialize in for sale by owner, so you can keep the main page write-up or change something. Okay, Loretta, I think I understand your question here. So what she's saying is, if I understand it right, is on the buying site, let's go over to the buying site, we have, like I said, some default content. If you want to keep this content, but you want to just change some things, then I'm going to show you a couple things. Number one is the most common thing that we get asked is like, hey, I don't want to deal with houses. How do I take the houses off of this content? The answer to that question is we always recommend that you keep it in there, because even when you're dealing with land, you're probably going to get some houses, and vice versa. So we always have both in there, because even if we're not specializing in land, it's easy enough for us to make an option contract on a house and just assign it to some other house investor. So we don't want to leave money on the table or anything, so we would keep it in there. But there are some students that don't want to deal with houses at all and therefore remove this, and we have a built-in way, quite easy, of doing that, and that is if you go to, for example, customize site, and in this case we're dealing with the buying site, so we're going to be website settings buying. Then we're going to go to where it says edit the buying site menu, right? This is our menu at the top, and we're going to click manage the buying site menu. Now you'll notice that we have up here where it says header menu, we have sell your house, and then up here it says not set. So if I want to remove houses, all I do is drag that off into the not set area, and therefore I'm left with home, sell your land, contact us. Okay, and then I can just save it. Now when I do that, if I come back to the site here and refresh it, you can see not only does it remove the sell your house option from here, but it also removes the sell your house options in here, and it also changes the wording a little bit to be related to land only. Okay, so that's an easy way you can edit this homepage text. I guess it's a common way if you just want to do that little bit of a change. Now to answer your question, Loretta, more clearly, because I think you actually want to make some other text changes than that. First of all, I'm going to go back here and reset this to the default so that we're not all confused. But let's go back over here and save it. So we'll just go back to the way things were, the good old days. And then basically what you're asking is, how do we keep this content but then basically alter it, since if I come over here to the buying site homepage, it's blank. The answer to that is you want to copy this content, okay? Now there's a problem when you copy. If you just copy HTML stuff in general, like on the internet, or even it happens to be our page here, But let's just say I go over to this site right here and I copy stuff. You're not just copying content, you're copying the HTML in the background, okay, that creates this content. And if that's a foreign concept to you, you can just take a look. This behind these links right here is what's called HTML. That's actually what the browser is reading here. So when you go on the internet and you copy stuff, you're actually copying not just what you see, but you're copying the background stuff. All right, so the same thing applies to our own website here. If I go over here and I copy this, then I'm also aware of the fact that I'm copying stuff in the background that might be good or bad, right? So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to paste that in there, and it comes up with this little box to paste it. And you can see here it gives you a little preview of it. Click OK. All right. Now, generally speaking, you shouldn't have a problem with this, but I wanted to bring up the fact that you are copying stuff in the background because this might have issues when you do this, especially if you're copying it from other websites and things like that. So the first step to your question is you want to copy and paste the content from the front end of the page. And then let's just say that I want to take out the word welcome and put in there like, welcome to my website, right? But you can do whatever you want. Then I'm going to go over here and click Update Site. Now, because I replaced the content, what I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh the page, and you can see it says Welcome to my website. And now I can go in there. I think your question involves like, bolding some text and things like that. So now I can go back into this section here, and let's see here. Okay, that was weird. All right, I can go back to this section, and let's say that I want to bold this line right here. I want to take out some bullet points. I want to take out these links. I don't want those anymore. You can just do whatever you want. You can put a picture in there. By the way, to add pictures is pretty easy. All you do is you go to your computer, find a picture, and then drag it over to this section, and it already uploads it to your page. And then you can actually double click on the picture and choose whether it's set to the right hand side or left hand side. So for example, I'll just put it on the right hand side here, and then I'm going to go ahead and update that, and boom, we've got a picture over there. Still looks kind of weird. We got to play around with it, maybe make the font of it a lot bigger. So we could just choose a font size and make it bigger here, and make this one super big, even bigger than that. So anyways, you get the point. I'm not going to do too much more on this end, but you get the point. You can alter the content, and I lost my image there for some reason, but anyways, and then again, if you want to go, you make a mistake, you want to go back to the way things were, then you just come in here and you delete everything that is in your you delete everything that you basically typed in there, click update, and then come back over here, refresh, and now you've got your default content back in there. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. And I'm going to go ahead and move on because we still got quite a bit of questions in here. So Deb asked a follow-up question. Basically, can I use the same opt-in form in the Investment Dominator and to Awebber in the same sign-in? Okay, so just for everybody to catch everybody else up to speed, Awebber is a third-party company that is an emailing software company, right? So that you could create email campaigns. It's similar to GetResponse. We've used it in the past. A lot of internet marketers use that program. Now, Awebber has its own database, right? It collects names and email addresses, and then it sends. What it really does is allows you to create campaigns, email campaigns, to send them a bunch of emails, follow-up emails, and things like that. All right, Deb, you want to actually have people opt into the Investment Dominator first, and then send them over to Awebber. The reason why you want to do it in that order is if you don't do it in that order, you're losing a lot of tracking information. And also, when you get to the point where you're actually selling the property to a prospect, you're going to come up into issues. Okay, so you definitely don't want them to opt into Awebber first and then send them to Investment Dominator. You want to do it the other way around. You want them to go to a Investment Dominator opt-in form, and this is a different form as I just showed in my previous tutorial. You're using our merge form, right? Because it's going to submit the data to the Investment Dominator CRM. You want them to do that first. Now, what you do at that point, if you want to use the API or Zapier or wherever to push the data from the Investment Dominator into an Awebber campaign, that's perfectly fine, and that's the proper way to do it. But you definitely want it to go into the Investment Dominator first. Otherwise, you lose a lot of the tracking information that Awebber doesn't collect. And Awebber certainly doesn't connect into our selling side of our business when you're actually selling a property and all the reports that go along with it. I haven't covered that, but if if you want, take a look at the reports under buyers list and reports. What we're tracking over time, and we're adding more reports to this all the time, but what we mainly are concerned with is the lead source of these prospects when they turn into buyers and how much money did we collect from them over time. Okay, so if we run a newspaper ad going to an opt-in form, we want to know that if that cost us $35 in 2014, how many properties did we sell from that and how much money did we make from that $35 investment? Okay, Awebber doesn't necessarily track all that because it's not tied into the buyer's part of the Investment Dominator. So definitely make sure that they opt into the Investment Dominator form first, and then from there use the API or Zapier to push that data into Awebber. And again, I'm going to point you back to this article right here, which has a very, very similar concept. We're just using the software GetResponse here, but GetResponse is really the same thing as Awebber. They're both emailing software. So you can, whenever I say GetResponse in this tutorial here, you can just switch that out with Awebber. It's really the same concept. Okay? All right. I think I'm going to give everybody like 1 or 2 minutes to send in any final questions here. Otherwise, I think I got all these questions answered. Let me just go through one more time. A lot of these were just feedback stuff. And not actual questions. So I just want to make sure of that. Yeah, I think we're good for this go around, which is actually a good time to end this call. Like I said, we're going to do this next week, same time, same place, same link. So if you're registered for this call, you're going to get emails from GoToWebinar about the next call. But again, if you forgot all that, go to jackbosch.com/ID training, and you can get the informations of the call. So we're going to do June 28th, July 5th, same times. We will have more calls if we have questions. If I can get all the questions answered for you new guys in these 3 calls, that'll be awesome. If not, I'm going to just add more sessions until we don't have any questions left, because we're here to help you guys get your mailings out, get your deals done, and so we're going to do these calls until everybody's got all their questions answered. While I've been talking, William sent in a question here, or actually Ivan sent in a question too. So let me just answer that real quick. So Ivan asked a pretty broad question, but let me see if I can answer it in a short amount of time. His question is, how do you use the Investment Dominator for marketing properties? Okay, there's a lot. There's a much bigger answer than what I'm going to give you right now, and so I'm going to also kind of point you into the direction of the user guide and the selling portions, because there's a bunch of articles and things regarding that, as well as far as the concept of selling and things like that. That's actually covered in the Investment Dominator. Okay, the Investment Dominator is just the implementation tool, right? It's not the concept. You still got to get the concept from the course. So you definitely, when you get to the stage where you have properties, go through the land profit generator selling modules, which I think is like 13 and up, because that's where Jack covers how we actually go about creating these offers and things like that. Now, when it comes to the Investment Dominator, the great news is if you follow our concept, so if you import the list, right, like I just showed you, step number 1, send out the letter, step number 2, people call you back, step number 3, the people that you call back, they're going to be falling under this offer request tab. You're going to do, well, let's just put some people in that status. They're going to be under this status called pending preliminary research, right? If you, in that bucket or that status, you're going to be doing some research on the property, getting a value for the property, finding out if there's back taxes on the property, and then you're going to be making your offers, right? A percentage of those people are going to accept your offers. When they accept your offers, they're going to call you or just send you the offer, the signed offer back. At that point, that property goes into the next status. Well, actually, before that, you send out your offers and you move them into the offers sent. So let me just go through it real quick so it's not so confusing. You make your offers, right? Here we save our offers amount. Then after we have set the offer amount, we're going to print them off, right? Here's our offer letters and things like that. Then we're going to move them into the next status, which is basically offer sent. We move these along into the next status. Once we do that, they sit in this offers made status until somebody says, yes, I accept your offer. At that point, you're going to take the property and you're going to move it along to the next status, which is basically market value, or sorry, this is a custom one. It's actually open escrow detailed research, okay? At this point, you're going to be opening up escrow with a title company. You're going to be doing your detailed research, like, for example, environmental stuff, all that kind of stuff is done during the actual, when you have it under contract and you've already opened up escrow with the title company. So that's going to be in the buying stage. And then also in the buying stage, if you haven't noticed here, things start to pop up here. So ads, so you can actually start advertising your property at the point where you have a signed contract and you're actually buying it. You haven't yet closed. So if you're following the course or in the process that Jack teaches in the course, and the process that's laid out in the Investment Dominator, then you actually, by the time you get to this stage where you're actually selling the property, you're 90% complete. And or ready to go, and let me explain that a little bit further. So, for example, in your detailed research stage and in your preliminary research stage, you're entering information like the property zip code, right? So let me just put in a zip code. You're entering in the acreage, things like that. All this information, you're entering in the legal description, the longitude, latitude of the property, or the property address. All this stuff is being entered in as you're going through the steps, okay? The terrain, a lot of this you get, when you're doing your research, zoning, stuff like that. When you're doing your details research, you're finding out the zoning and things like that. And obviously the back taxes you fill out in your preliminary research stage. But all these fields are already going to be filled out as you go along, and as you fill them out, if I just save this information here, you can see that you get different options based on where you're at in the stage, okay? So by the time you get to the open up escrow stage, all you're going to really need to do is two things, really. You want to go to the section called property listing, and you want to start building your listing. So you can see this section is not too long. All you need to do is enter in a headline, right? Buy this is great, right? There's a headline, call me. Then your description. This is like your detailed description of the property. It usually is a couple paragraphs long. And then you've got your plat map URL. What's the average temperature? Well, we're in Phoenix right now, so the average temperature is 120 today. So, then we've got the sale price. This is actually the required field here. What are you selling the property for? So once you figure out the selling price, let's say you're selling it for $50,000, and then who's going to be taking the calls on these listings? So it could be you, right? It could be me, Alex, and my phone number is 555-555-555. This is all building your listing. So that's why I say that by the time you get to the property selling stage, you're 90% there. You're only entering in this information based on the research you've already done on the property throughout the process. And then the second thing, and then let me just save this real quick. I'm going to save that. And then the second thing that you want to do is add pictures, of course. And obviously, you're gathering pictures in your detailed research stage as well. But let's just say at the very bottom, we're going to upload my files here. I'm going to go grab some pictures of the property. Let's say all these are property. I'm going to select them, and I'm going to open them, and then I'm going to upload them all. Okay, so now I'm gathering pictures, right? So really all I'm doing at the stage where I'm selling the property or marketing the property is entering in the few bits of information on the property listing, under the property listing section right here, and uploading some pictures, adding some captions to the pictures, you know, views nearby or something. We're adding that. We're also choosing which ones are public and which ones are private on there. So let's just say that these three right here are public, and this one's going to be a featured image right here. And what we do is at the top, you can see that we're already building our listing based on the information that we're entering in. If we go to our buying site, we're already building the listing with our title, our description, our information that we entered in, and things like that. So at the point where you're marketing the property, you're 90% there. You add a few bits of information to get to your listing. You're taking this ad right here, you're copying this, you're putting it on Craigslist, for Zillow for sale by owner, LandWatch if you have an account with them, and that's how you're marketing it. And all the techniques of actually marketing are in the Land Profit Generator in the selling modules, but the actual process of doing it, or the built-in processes are in the Investment Dominator, exactly how Jack teaches it in his course. The other thing that I want to mention here is you're going to be, when you get to the point where you're marketing on paid advertisement, like for example, you have a sign on the property which costs you money to put out. You have an ad in the newspaper that might cost you money. At the point where you're actually paying for advertising, then you want to do what's called tracking links, and all that is going to be handled under buyer's list and this section called tracking links. This is very important. Jack talks about that in the course. We have video tutorials under the help section regarding this, but that's something that you want to look into once you start paying for advertising, because you want to know where your money's going, what's effective over time versus immediately, and all that good stuff. And the way to do that is through the tracking links. All right, so hopefully that kind of answers your question generally speaking. I know there's quite a bit more that I could expand on that, but I might just, maybe next week, if you want even more tutorials regarding that, we can bring it up again. Otherwise, I hope I answered your question. Oh, we got actually some more questions in here. So it looks like people are jumping on a little late and asking questions. Okay, that's perfectly fine. It's our first call for a while, so I'm going to go ahead and take some of these questions here. Let's see. The next one is from William. How do I change my company logo background from black to clear? Black to clear. Okay. Clear. So in the web kind of terminology, we don't have clear, but we have transparent. So if you, I assume that you have somebody created your logo, like a graphic designer. If a graphic designer created your logo, what you're going to want to do is ask them to create a logo that has a transparent background, okay? Typically, this is a file that is a .png file, and the background of it is just transparent. So let me see if I have an example of this. I think this one right here. Yeah, this one is a PNG file. Notice that in my preview here, it looks like it has a white background, right, or a gray background. But when I open it, it actually has a black background, and that's because it actually has no background. This part right here is the image, and this part right here that blends into the background is just transparent. There's no color to it. So you could actually add this sample logo file to any page. It could be purple for that matter, and it doesn't matter what the background is because it's going to blend in. All right, so bottom line is you want to ask your graphic designer for a .png file of your logo, and it needs to be it needs to have a transparent background. Okay, these two are examples of that. Having said that, if you don't have a graphic designer and you don't know what I'm talking about here, then I think we have a tutorial, and let me see if I can pull that up. Let me close out of some of these stuff. Okay. If let me see if I don't know if I have a tutorial on this or not, logo. Let me just see, configure website. I think, yeah, this actually covers the logo. So if you look up this article called How to Configure Your CRM and Websites, I actually cover the logo. But if you don't know what a transparent background is, you don't know, have a graphic designer, a simple way of having it blend into the background is to use that sketch.io program that I talked about in the beginning. And if you're just going to create your logo yourself, and in here there's a paint bucket tool, and you're going to make the background black, okay? Because if we make the background of this image black, you'll notice that our website header is also black. So as long as the background here is black and the header is black, then basically it's going to function like it's going to blend into the background. Okay, so that's one way to do it without having the transparent thing that I just talked about. But an easy way, if you have a graphic designer, just tell them transparent PNG. They'll know what you're talking about, and you can upload that. All right, hopefully that answers your question there. And also for the new guys in here, to actually upload that logo, that custom logo, it's also done under Customize Site, because we're customizing something, and then it's also done under, well, it depends. So if you're going to upload a logo to your buying site, it's going to be under Website Settings Buying, and then upload your buying site logo. We have a different logo for our buying site than we do for our selling site, okay? There's a reason why we have two different sites. There's two different markets we're tapping into. One are people that don't want their property anymore, don't care about their property anymore, and therefore want cash for their property and are willing to sell for pennies on the dollar. Okay, that's one group of people. That's your buying site people. Your selling site people are people that actually want property. They're actually looking to build, put a mobile home on there, ride around on their ATVs on their property, whatever it might be. They're actually interested in property, and therefore we have two separate sites, two separate logos, two separate names, because these are two separate people. Okay, so that's the reason. Now, you could, of course, in the beginning have one logo for both sites, and that's perfectly fine. You are going to have to upload them in these two separate sections, though. One under buying site, upload a buying site logo. Here, choose your file, or under selling site logo. For example, if I want to change this one, it says Sunnyland right now. I'll just come over here, change it, crop it. Right? You drag and crop like we did with the other one. And then confirm, and then save at the bottom here. So now if we go to our selling site, you can see my new logo is up here. All right, let's go back to the questions here. Where did my questions go? Whoopsie. Okay. Questions. All right. Okay, Sandra says, I'm hearing a phone while you talk. Okay, I apologize for that. My phone may be ringing off the hook. I'm not sure. I thought I put it on mute here, but I did not. All right, sorry about that. That was just more of a comment, but we're almost done with this call anyhow. So Loretta has a suggestion, not a question. You may want to do a training on using the ID for marketing by itself. I've been working on this in Detroit area, and I didn't know this existed. I was advertising property. Okay, yes, Loretta, we're going to have 3 calls like this. Like I said, the schedule is going to be next week, same time, same day, Wednesday. Yeah, we're on Wednesday, and so next week we could either next week or the last week. I typically like to go in order, so I like to talk about the first things that you need to do on this call, Next week we'll probably talk about some things like how to take the calls and do some research. And then the third call, we'll talk about marketing again, and that'll be like we'll talk a little bit more about marketing there. So stay tuned for these live calls, Loretta, because I'm trying to go in order so that like the people that are just starting out can just start with getting their offers out, because you don't need to know about marketing in the beginning. You just need to get your stuff out there so you can get some offers and get properties and then learn about marketing. So the call in July 5th, I believe, I plan to talk about marketing. But if you have any specific questions about it in the meantime on any of these calls, let me know. Otherwise, I'll kind of dedicate that third call to more of the marketing side of things. And obviously, if you have questions in the meantime where I don't cover anything and you're like, hey, I need to know more about how you guys do something, go to the help section, and even if it's not a technical question, these questions come to me, the ones in the middle. So go here, report an issue, even though it's not an issue, right? Just tell me, okay, I need a video on this this topic of how you do something, and or under feature, have a suggestions actually would be more appropriate. Click under have a suggestion. Tell me exactly what you're missing. Number one, I can see if I already created a video tutorial on it, or if I haven't, I can set aside some time to create an actual proper video where I kind of talked about it in detail, and that will probably be better than these live calls in that sense. Okay, but otherwise, third call, I plan to talk more about marketing. All right, now let me bring out my questions again. I keep losing these. Let's see here. Okay, Sandra says we were listening to a sales call for LPG. Is that running while you're talking? Sandra, I actually don't know what's running while I'm talking. This is a class just for Investment Dominator people. So Jack Jack might be doing another webinar. I have no idea. But this is one just about the Investment Dominator. We have many online classes, as you guys can figure out by our emails that we send you all the time. But this call right here is just dedicated to people that own the Investment Dominator. All right, I think I got all the questions answered here. Just make sure. I think so. If I miss anybody, just let me know. Just send like, hey, you missed me or something. But I think I got them all. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to close out this call. We did go way over, but we did record it. And like I said, it's the first call, so I'm happy to stay a little later on this call. And we'll catch you on the next call. The recording is going to be posted on the user guide. Give me about a day or so. I probably will not send out an email, so just go and check the user guide, and it'll be there tomorrow or so. And then the next call, you're already registered for this call, so you don't need to do anything else. You're just going to have to just jump on at that time. They're going to GoToWebinar sends out an email through their software and everything to remind you and all that good stuff. All right. So having said that, thanks everyone for attending. We had quite a few people on here, and I hope I answered all your questions. If not, hit me up on the help section, middle option, or if you have a suggestion, third option over. These questions don't typically come to me right here, so if you want to talk to me specifically, then send me a question through the middle one. All right. Hope you guys are having fun with the Investment Dominator, and more than anything, I mean, this software was created to make your life easier. Like I said in the beginning, it was a pain to do anything in this business, and yet we still did thousands of deals. So I know technology is not everybody's forte, and a lot of times it's just a struggle to get everything so that it makes sense for everybody. But this is based on the processes that we've used for years to do thousands of deals. Not just us, but also students. It's also everything in here was designed for Jack's system. It's not like we took another system and tweaked it. It was designed for what we actually do. So if you just kind of follow what we've done so far, then I know you're going to be fine, because there's been a lot of students before you. We use it ourselves on a daily basis. And having said that, we're always up to improve things. So send us your suggestions as you go through it, but try to work it the way that it's designed, and then also if you find improvements that you might need, send us a suggestion. We always look at that. We're always improving stuff. And in fact, and I'll end on this, in probably the next today or tomorrow or maybe Friday, we're going to have an update to the app, which is going to be pretty cool. I might send out an email, I might not, but either way, you guys are all going to get the update to the app, and it's going to be pretty cool. It's based on a lot of the suggestions that we've got in the past few weeks, and that's going to be, like I said, automatically implemented into your apps. Right now, we're just doing final testing on everything, making sure everything is good to go. All right, so I'll leave you with that, and have a great rest of the week, guys. All right, bye-bye.